Frontline villages, including Arau, will see tightened border controls with Venezuela immediately. Cabinet was locked in meetings on Tuesday, during which President Granger reportedly instructed that additional troops be present in the villages along the Guyana-Venezuela border to protect Guyanese citizens.
The Guyana Defense Force was instructed to take certain precautions. They're not aggressive, they are purely defensive. And we have designated certain villages along the border. Whitewater is one, Baramita is another, Kaikan, Arau, to ensure that our citizens are safe. We're concerned with the safety of our citizens. And in that regard, I don't think there should be any deep concern. We have planned, in fact, at the Defense Board meeting, which was held last Thursday, I've instructed that the Guyana Defense Force should brief the Parliamentary Committee on Security to let them know what preparations are taking place, and I expect that there will be full participation both by members of the government side and the opposition side.
Venezuela's neighbors are grappling with a mounting influx of desperate migrants fleeing a worsening economic crisis in that country. Guyana's head of state assured that the deployment of more troops to frontline villages is not to initiate any form of aggression.
We are concerned with the situation in Venezuela, and that is not a stable situation. And it is in part a response to the Venezuelan problem, because there has been a surge in crime, there has been a surge in illegal migration, and with it may come, gun running. There has been a surge in the return of Guyanese from Venezuela. So in a sense, the complaint about recency is quite relevant, because the whole situation in Venezuela is itself recent. But it has alerted us to the need to make sure that our border location, these frontline villages, are not isolated. And we have to do much more work in years to come in developing communication, developing infrastructure, make sure children go to school, all of the services that I've been speaking about over the last 3 years. That is, we must erase the differences between coastline and hinterland.
Particularly, residents of Arau up the Wenemu River had complained bitterly to Nightly News about the presence of unfriendly Venezuelan gangs, more so the sindicatos.
Government is deeply concerned, and government is continuing to deliver services to the communities, health services, communications, security services. There have been complaints about pensions. Everything we're looking at, it's a total responsibility. It is not being left to one ministry. There's an interministerial response to the issues of isolation. As you know, these are remote areas, not neglected areas, but remote areas because of the problems of communication. So what I would say to Guyanese is that the government is engaged fully all along our borders, at all three levels. We are delivering services, and the two major security forces, the defense forces and the police force itself, are involved in patrols and assuring the population that any crime committed against them is going to be investigated and punished.
The Chief of Staff of the GDF is expected to brief his troops and civil society on this recent instruction handed down by the head of state.
We are operating at different levels. We are operating at the local level, at the villages, in the frontline villages themselves. I'm personally going there. That's one of the reasons why I did not go to Haiti, because of the domestic situation. We're concerned about the regions, the two regions, what I call the frontline regions. That is, and I'm very glad that in both cases we saw the presence of the regional chairman. In Region 1, the Barima-Waini region, the chairman actually came out with me to Barima, to Whitewater. In Region 7, the chairman actually came out with me. Sometimes there have been complaints about the attitude of regional chairman, but I was very heartened that this is not seen as a partisan manner, that it is seen as something that affects the whole country.
All this happens as United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has referred the Guyana-Venezuela territorial controversy to the International Court of Justice for settlement. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.